Today on Reps, it is celebrity trainer Don Saladino, my former co-host. We're going to discuss his M&F cover shoot for the return of Muscle and Fitness in print in fall 2021, the fitness landscape post-pandemic, how long he thinks it'll take for gyms to return to normal, and the super secret way to get abs overnight. All right, I made that last one up. Today's show is generously sponsored by GNC. From the #1 selling lit pre-workout to the game-changing Burn MF, Beyond Raw formulas are made to make a real difference. And with the explosive flavors like Jolly Rancher watermelon and green apple, gummy worm, and iced tea lemonade, you'll keep coming back for more. So get to GNC or GNC.com and go beyond the fire with Beyond Raw.
I actually can't believe how many people, walking through airports, people are just like, oh my God, you're Don Saladino. Where's Zack? I'm like, Zack's not with me. We're podcast partners. We're not like walking around in airports together. They're like, oh my God, we love it. It's fantastic.
They're like, wait a second here.
It's touching.
You don't sock him away in your backpack and take him with you.
No, but it's touching. People confront us. You and I, even in New York City, we've been walking around the streets a couple of times. You've had people confront us and be like, we love the podcast. We love what's going on. Down by New York Plaza, a couple of times you and I went for lunch and, people are confronting us and they're, asking about the show. And it's always a good feeling. It's always nice.
It was nice to have see women throw themselves at you and then bypass me.
Oh, you're just saying that because your wife listened to this. They were all over you also. Erica knows.
Right. When you got this, when you're bringing this out,
especially when people are like, do you remember the podcast when Zack cut his beard with the dull scissors?
Do you remember when he drank that cucumber juice or whatever he did, and then he spit it into a cup and drank it again?
Oh God, it's disgusting.
Yeah,
can't even talk about it.
Yeah.
Or the time Jordan Shallow was on and everyone was kind of calling out who they thought were fakes in the industry. Like, it was pretty funny.
Yeah,
very uncharacteristic of us.
Well, that's the thing, man. It's like I don't follow many people in the industry. Like, I really don't. So when people present influencer A, B, or C, or D, I'm just not interested. Like, listen, I'm all for people making a living and making money and stuff. But the truth is, when it comes to this stuff, there's certain people that I trust and turn to, and that's it, man. It's not about how flashy somebody is or necessarily if they can do like a backflip off a Bosu ball, like it's.
Which is impressive.
Yeah, I can't do that.
But very dangerous.
I could do that. Trust me. If I could do that, life would be different for me.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and I feel like we're having the same conversation that we had 2 years ago, but it is amazing how, because of someone's following, other people's think that they're on even ground. Like, some of the best strength coaches I know on the planet, men and women who are very educated, have been doing this for 20, 30 years. They may not have 5,000 to 10,000 followers. Right. Yet there are guys I know that have 3+ million and, they couldn't coach their way out of a high school gym. They would have no idea where to even start.
Yeah.
And that to me is kind of a shame, but what's worse is when someone doesn't really know. It's not their job to know, who to listen to. So the consumer who's following social media and they're looking for fitness tips, they don't know. It's like coming to me and being like, where are you going to go for stock tips? Like, I have a couple of clients that I would ask, but if I didn't have that, I would, where am I going to go? Like, so I think it's very easy to fall into that trap of, believing what you hear, especially if something looks attractive, through digital.
To that end, have you noticed, you're working with more people probably now, at least communicating with more people now because you're all digital. Have you noticed that with so many people being home that there's more misinformation or there's more things that you're kind of combating, or is it the same amount of stuff that you've always been having to deal with?
No, I've been pretty lucky. I think because, I do have a reputation in the industry and I've owned brick and mortar clubs. So I've done it from both ends. I've been in the brick and mortar business for 15 years, and I've been in the digital business for probably another 12. So, between the app business or, selling programs or playbook or whatever it might be. So I've kind of been in the mix for a while. So I feel like when I jumped into this, it was just more of an opportunity to say, all right, I could kind of put all my eggs into one basket right now because I'm unable to focus on the brick and mortar. I think people, I mean, especially the people joining my challenges, the challenges are my coaching platform. So someone can join my challenge every month and they're going to have me coaching them through video daily. And they'll ask questions, but they're never like combative about it, or they're never, they're never like, well, so-and-so said, or like, they might be like, listen, I read this, what's your opinion on it? And I always give my opinion. I mean, unless it's scientific fact, most of the time it's, in fitness, it's an opinion. So many scientific facts have just changed throughout the years. I can't tell you how much information I read 20 years ago that now those same coaches are like, well, that was my thought process then, or that was the research we did then, and we found out different things now. So
right, but isn't that the thing, right? Science is evolving. It's constantly evolving, and things change. Like we're, as animals were changing constantly. So I'm not shocked that things don't stay the same. But I want to. You're vaccinated, right?
Yeah.
Do you are you surprised by all this uproar over this? Like, or is it just I know you don't get into talking politically, which I don't think this is. I think this is
no, it's not. No,
like
no,
I just don't get it.
You know what? I think at a certain point, like I'm not a doctor, and we're not doctors, and I feel like
you look like one with those glasses on.
I feel like it's the same with a lot of these holistic coaches or these people who suddenly develop a following and they want to give their opinion on things. And they're, I heard a woman commenting about, juicing and all this stuff, and then someone's butting in about cancer and like, listen, we just had to bury my dad's best friend 2 weeks ago, and he needed cancer treatment, and it still didn't work. But now people are jumping on, juicing and like all this bullshit. It's like, come on, you're not a doctor. And I think that's part of the issue. I was hesitant in the beginning. I mean, you hear about, vaccinations and potentially harming, children, or, you worry about my 14-year-old daughter because, people are spreading rumors about, vaccinations. And in the past, maybe she'll become sterile, and you get these things in your head and you're like, all right, well, let's just sit and wait a little bit and try. And these are real things. I mean, it might be tough topics to talk about, but these were real things that were in my wife and I's head. And we were saying to ourselves, okay, this is a decision we have to make. But, after, confiding with, in doctors who are friends of ours and family members that are doctors. And I can't tell you how many people we called to do our due diligence. And every single one of them said, get your children vaccinated. And at a certain point, I got to listen to the professionals here. I can't turn around and take it upon myself. Well, what if? Like, all right, well, what if the alcohol you're drinking is going to cause your liver to fry one day because your body just can't handle it? Like there are drunks that can live an entire life into their 90s, abusing cigarettes and alcohol. And there's, you look at someone like Sean Perrine, who, was, your old boss and our really good friend, who never smoked a day in his life, never drank, was diagnosed with throat cancer. Like, excuse my language, shit just happens sometimes. It really does.
Yeah, you haven't said shit before, so if you were going to excuse your language, I felt like it would have been at the first shit, not the second shit.
Did I say shit already?
Sorry.
I didn't know that. Shit, I'm sorry. But I'm not a doctor. I just have to, I have to make the best decision,
right.
That my wife and I know to make. And if someone else decides not to do it, unfortunately, I can't say it's just on them. It's not just on them. It could potentially be on other people now, because by them not getting vaccinated, this could be jeopardizing the well-being of other people. Right. How many people have been vaccinated that have, tested positive for COVID afterwards? Or someone sitting at my parents' table at the wedding they were at a few weeks ago tested positive for COVID. My parents are vaccinated, but they're 75. They're, locked in their home and they're going in for COVID tests and they're waiting for results. And thank God they're fine. But, the fear is still there. I just think that, in my opinion, I'm doing what we need to do for our family to do the right thing. Like, all we can do is that we feel is the right decision for ourselves. But it's scary.
So how has the industry thing changed, whether it be in the short term or the long term or both? Since everything has gone down. I'm not like the vaccine thing, but I mean, I do think people are still, a lot of people might be still hesitant to go back into gyms. I think traffic, I've read, reports and surveys and studies that traffic is up, going up again. There's an uptick, but at the same time, there's a lot of people who don't really feel as though they're quite there yet because of, the state of things. But what else what have you noticed? Like, have the questions changed? Have the goals changed? What is it that people are kind of searching for now?
What's interesting is getting to the topic of occupancy. I don't like gyms aren't back yet. Like they're not fully back yet. What I am seeing, especially in the city, is there are lots of my friends own facilities, and there are a lot of facilities that went out of business or decided, like myself, not to re-sign my lease after 15 years. And there is a little bit of a struggle, one with staffing, because a lot of these coaches now are finding a different way where they don't have to give, whatever the percentage is, 60%, 70% to Equinox, and they were forced to get entrepreneurial and run their own businesses. So good for them. I'm also seeing that the gym goer who is in there 5 to 6 days a week is now making that decision to, go in 2 to 3 days a week. And they have their Peloton at home, or they're doing my program online, or they're doing something to where, they can get it done at home and not deal with that commute. And for everyone, even in the city, if you're walking out of your building and going to the gym next door, there's time. You walk in, you check in, you find a piece of equipment, you start warming up. I mean, you lose time. So I think the convenience factor has really been improved in people's lives, because they were forced to figure out a way over the last 18 months to 2 years how to do it without the gym. But I don't think gyms are going to fully restore for a while. I've been saying this for a long time. I rolled the dice, and this is not to say I'm the smartest human being or I knew something that no one else knew, but when we were forced to close March of 2020, and then my lease expired May 30th of 2020, we couldn't move our equipment out, and we started renegotiating a lease. So we renegotiated, and the landlord was like, well, you got to get your stuff out of there if you're not going to re-sign the lease. I'm like, by law, you can't make me get it out of there. Like, I can't bring trucks in. And September, when Cuomo got on, or it was like September, October, when he got on, and he said that gyms are now allowed to reopen at 33% occupancy. I already started my new kind of focus, and my new job had started, and my new, I guess, platform of fulfillment, because it wasn't just about making money. It was about allowing me to feel fulfilled, had begun, and it was doing really well. And, I just said, no, there's no way. Like, there's no way gyms can come in right now and operate and survive. And some of them have, but our club, there was no shot. Like, when you have, 300, 400 active members, and you're relying upon these people to come in and spend a big ticket every month, way more than they'd spend at Equinox, it's not happening. These people were moving. They were building gyms at home. They were moving out to their secondary homes. It was more of a premium model. There was no way. And it was the right decision, because everyone, like the landlord, everyone who said, oh, it's fine, they were all wrong. And it's still not fully back yet. And there's still, skeptics out there, and there's still this uptick. So I don't see it returning fully anytime soon. I don't know if it'll ever return fully. Fitness will never die. It will never go away. I just think now people are realizing there are other ways to get them out of the monotony of doing things in one spot 5 to 6 days a week. And now, do 2 workouts at home, make things a little bit more convenient, go to the gym. I'm enjoying my time there a little bit more. What's your opinion?
Yeah, no, that's actually what a lot of the people I speak with, some do enjoy going to the gym. It's also a reason or an excuse to get out and do something. But I do think it's not going as often has been helpful for some people. It changes things up. Sometimes it's kind of you don't want to go and do the commute, or you don't want to deal with the asshole who spits the gum in the water fountain.
Yep.
Pees all over the seat or something like that. Like, you just don't want to deal with it. So, but it also, it's nice because these places do have equipment that you likely do not have at home, which is always good to change things up and good to keep things fresh. But, what I've been doing is you've been kind enough to create a program for me, which has helped me get back into it. I've been, training with Strauss Zelnick and doing things with him, which is also, he trains a different way than I do. It's been fun. And that's something that I needed. And I'm also, between the program you made me and doing some things with him, I'm doing moves that I kind of put on the back burner for no reason. I just hadn't done them in a while, but now I'm being forced to do them. And it's clear that I need to practice them more. I'm certainly there's just certain things where I'm like, damn, like that got me, like you got me doing one leg glute bridges, and I haven't done those in a minute. Like, for no reason, I just forgot about it. And it's like, you work something like that back in, or you start to, do, types of side planks or like, pull throughs. And it's like, it starts to work, and you start to feel kind of like that, like you used to. And it's easy when you're doing the same old stuff all the time, and you're going to work or you're going to an office, and then you're rushing to get a workout. And I know that's different for you. You were a gym owner, so it's also, it's a little bit different. But like it's just been more enjoyable for me.
No, and one, I appreciate that, but you're 100% right. I mean, the average person out there, they're not going to know what you know or what I know about fitness, and they're not going to be able to make decisions. Like, they're not going in there and they're not designing their program to where it's like, okay, in my warm up, am I going to hop on the bike and just pedal and get my heart rate up? Or am I going to do something really targeted that's going to help me, someone who sits, not me in general, but the average worker, 8 to 10 hours a day at a chair? How am I going to unwind all that tightness that over the years is basically going to force my body to pretty much go to sleep? And that's what happens to our bodies. It's just, we sit, we stop moving. It's like lowering a boat. Like, for those people out there that have been on the water and have been on boats before, like, if you take an engine and you lower it into the water and you leave it there for a week, 2 weeks, 5 weeks, 3 months, 5 months, it starts developing moss on it. It starts developing barnacles on it. And it can get to the point where you start it up, like, it might not start. And the boat's going to have so much moss on it that when you run it, it's going to be running sluggish. I've seen it. And what do you have to do at that point? You got to scrape the boat. You got to loosen the prop up. You probably got to, flush out, the intakes. There's all these things that you have to do to allow it to run efficiently. The human body is no different. When we just get into our chair and we sit and we start typing or start driving, the body stops moving. And fresh oxygen to the blood, it's not moving as freely. And the elasticity of our muscles, you don't have that same level of elasticity. It's happened to you before. It's like, if you're sitting a lot and someone stands up and you get out of your chair and you're just getting up slowly and you feel like this band stretching, you start doing that day in and day out, week in and week out, month in, month out, year in and year out, the body stops moving. And this is why we get injured. And good programming out there is going to basically take these things into consideration, whether you're being assessed or not. A good program out there is going to turn it around, take this into consideration, and start assigning things to you or the next person who's downloading this program. And it's going to help unwind all that stiffness and tightness. And that's coaching, and that's training, and that's proper programming. And that's something that the average Joe out there just isn't going to do. And what are they going to do? They're going to go in and do that same movement pattern over and over and over. It's like shoveling that same, I'll give you analogies over and over, but it's like shoveling that same path and that walkway to the garage, to the garage, to the garage. And then suddenly you say to yourself, oh shit, I needed another path over here, and the snow's too high right now for me to shovel. What am I going to do? And it's literally the same exact analogy. Like, we need to move our joints in different fashions and different patterns and different planes. And we need to allow those joints to stay lubricated and that muscle to maintain a level of elasticity. And if we stop doing that, that's when our bodies feel terrible. You could stretch till you're blue in the face. It's just, there's another way to focus and approach this that most people just don't know how to do.
Yeah, I remember there was a dude that I went to college with, and he would only train like his shoulders in a specific way that they were like permanently like pulled forward. Like, he had no posture to him. And I was always thinking to myself, like, dude, you got to notice that, like, that has to hurt. You know, it can't feel good. But
you can also get injured. I mean, you're only strongest your weakest link. If you keep doing all those pressing motions and you develop a high level of strength, you're also going to develop a high level of weakness in another area. And at a certain point, something's going to give.
yeah.
So just going in and just, working out sometimes, I mean, it's better than doing nothing, and it's better than just sitting on the couch, but you can actually cause a lot more harm to yourself than you think.
I definitely want to talk. I do. I agree with you. And that's kind of where I was getting at, where it's easy to fall into these, patterns of just, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm supposed to do. Like, at least I'm working out. But, I try to remind myself that it's supposed to be fun, first of all, and beneficial as well. So, am I doing everything perfect? No. But at the same time, I'm having fun, and I'm not really trying to, impress anybody with like walking around on a beach, or I'm not trying to be the biggest guy or the strong. I'm trying to be what I can do right now.
But you're doing good enough. And that's what I'm saying. When I'm saying
right.
You're doing good enough, you're going in there and you're allowing yourself to move in a very safe fashion, right. a very fun way as well. Like, like you said, it's got to be fun. I don't care how good the program is. If you're not enjoying it, what good is it? Yeah. But you're also not going in and just benching 5 days a week. You're not just going in there and getting on a bike and starting your warm up with the bike and doing some bench and doing some lat pull downs, and then, saying, oh, well, I bike and I run, so I don't need to train my lower body. And then, then in time, you start seeing this level of imbalance begin to develop. You're very dynamic with the way you train. Sometimes you underplay it a little bit, because you'll be like, oh, I only had 20 or 30 minutes today. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. What did you do? Oh, I did carries. I did get-ups. I did some swings. I did some push-ups. I'm like, fantastic. This is terrific. Like, it's simple, but simple work. So I also think it's understanding that you don't need much, but you just, if you're not going to do much, you just want to make sure that there's some thought behind it and it's the right stuff.
Yeah. Well, that actually leads into a good segue to talk about the cover shoot we did for the Muscle and Fitness fall issue that's coming out in October. I'm working on how to the right ways to get it. I'm getting there. Putting it all together. But the training that we discussed in there with you, and the one that you did for the shoot, it was more about, movement, and you can look fantastic doing it because, you prove it. But I think it is different than a lot of people would maybe expect someone that's on the cover of a magazine. And I can't believe there's still magazines made of paper. But, I don't think a lot of people would expect someone like you to train like that. I think they expect, like, they think of bodybuilding and they think of it as traditional sets and reps, and he's just doing one body part a day, or maybe two body parts a day, the standard back and bis, chest try, whatever it is. But that's really not what you're doing. And I think the difference being is you're leaping around, you're moving, as we talked about before, in all different planes, and, you're not getting injured doing it. Whereas if you just trained so stiff and so regimented, and then did that, you'd blow out your knee, or you'd be like, you'd blast your shoulders apart when you did a handstand, you know what I mean? So it's, I'm hoping that that's what people take away from it, especially because we're giving it out at the Olympia. And I think that's, there's something to be said at that. I think, like, bodybuilding can be fun. Like, it's nothing wrong with training that way. And I'm not, bagging on it, but that's also not, there's more to it, is what I'm saying. I think of fitness as a very broad field and a very broad definition, and it's not tunnel vision. Like, I don't dump on CrossFit, because people are at least moving and they're doing
right.
Something. So if you want to
be
a bodybuilder, do it. Dude, that's awesome. Like, it's a discipline, and it's hard. And especially it's hard to compete at it. It takes a shit ton of discipline and a lot of work. But, on the other side of that, there are people that just want to look better, feel better, and move better. And I think that that's where a lot of them kind of find you if they don't know who you are already, because that's the beat you've been pounding for a long time.
No, I appreciate it. And listen, there is a better approach out there. And it's funny with programs, I find different programs fun. Like, do I ever train a body, 2 body parts in a day, or do I ever do that bodybuilding style of training? Sure, when I feel like things might just get a little bit mentally monotonous. But They're finding now that, even training with more frequency and cutting back on all that volume, you can actually get a much better response when it comes down to muscle growth. And in my opinion, less wear and tear on your joints and your nervous system, to where you're allowing yourself to stay fresh.
You were talking about, because I don't know if it's the same study you were talking about, but there was one that I saw, I don't remember how long ago, about, using moderate to light weights can be just as effective as using like super heavy weights. I think it's, which was, I wasn't shocked, but I wonder how many people that let that sink in.
Yeah, I think there is something to be said about, moderate to light. I think you could obviously still grow off of. I think there's so many other variables and factors in your life. If you're training moderate to light, what's the frequency? Meaning, how frequently during the week are you coming back in and hitting those muscle groups again? And if that frequency is increasing, you might see a great response from that. I think there's something to be said about that 80% approach, though, where someone's coming in and they're cutting themselves. If they're doing a set of 10, cutting themselves down, 2 reps before, 2 reps before, always allowing themselves to feel fresh, allowing themselves not to wake up the next day and where their bodies are killing them. And, in time, they're just sore. And then your body starts breaking down. It's the most common thing I see with bodybuilders. Almost everyone I've been around, almost, not all of them, they get into this good frame of mind for a period of time. And then after a while, it's like they're working around things. And they're suddenly like, it's a sore back, it's sore knees, it's sore hips. And they're never really, again, it's like shoveling that same path. They're always shoveling that same path, instead of, almost in a way I like to call it, deloading, to where they're not really cutting back on the intensity, but maybe they're doing movements that are a little bit more dynamic for a period of time to allow their bodies to just move a little bit more freely and move a little bit more like an athlete. And I think that's something that a lot of bodybuilders are missing, is the ability to kind of come in and know when they need to call an audible on that program, where they might take, 2 to 4 weeks off after Olympia. I wouldn't have any bodybuilder take off that period of time. I'd have them in there, training probably with more frequency and much less intensity, to where they're going through the moments and they're working a lot on stability, unilateral movements that are requiring them to balance and stabilize, and working on more mobility and getting their bodies to kind of feel good. And then their job is hypertrophy. But at least in that period of time, I feel like you could start really fixing the way they move and they feel. And I never really understood. I mean, the only thing I can put it on, and I have a lot of friends that are bodybuilders, is that when you become world class at that level and something's working for you, you become very superstitious. And they're very smart people. Like, they really put a lot of thought in their nutrition and their training. But turning around and moving away from something that enabled you to win a competition, it's a tough thing to do,
Yeah, I mean, so I want to go back to something that I sort of brought up and then skirted over it about, magazines. It's obviously a digital age, and as we move, especially as people went into lockdown and quarantine and all that stuff from COVID-19, of course, people are going to be turning more to apps. I know that some studies found that worldwide, especially in 2020, the first half of it, I think downloads of health and fitness apps were up in the 49% range or something.
I can believe it.
No, I can. I mean, I can, yeah, because I'm sure people were like scrambling, trying to figure out what to do. But I guess it goes back to, why, if at all, is print still something that people care about? Like, I know that having a cover was a big deal for you.
Yeah.
But why? It's not going to change your, your income. It probably isn't going to reach nearly as many people as, say, specific social media posts. So what is it? Like, what is it that makes it such a special thing?
It's in my opinion, it's timeless. It's one of those things that my kids will hold on to and my grandkids will hold on to, and God forbid something ever happens to me one day. It's nice to know and see that I've put a good fingerprint, in the industry, and I've been able to help out many people. And for me, that's fun. And honestly, growing up, there's this emotional connection to it. Growing up, I'll never forget looking at Muscle and Fitness and seeing, my friends, Michael Hearn and Frank Seppi on the cover. But even before that, seeing, Arnold and Louis and seeing these guys. And, at a young age, that kind of molded me to want to, in a way, go down this path. And I would never have been, listen, let's be very clear. I would never have been on the first cover if it wasn't for Sean, and I would never have been on the second cover if it wasn't for you. So, I think it's also looking at the great relationships and friendships that, I've been able to build with the magazine and the industry. And that's something that, you want to represent in a certain way. And it's a great experience to be able to go into that, especially that last shoot with you and your amazing wife, Erica, and the job that she did. It was spectacular, but just the whole team getting together and everyone, it was just a feel good day. Having my good buddy, Arash Rabar, show up. This guy took, 4 hours out of his day helping me pump up. And he looked at me at one point, he's like, "You're getting flat. I'm running out." He got me a Gatorade. He got me salt. He got me some banana, like a banana. And, you just, fitness has brought so much to me, from, getting involved from at a young age when I had insecurities, to a hearing problem, to a stuttering issue that I was able to work out most of the time. And fitness was the one constant that was able to give me confidence and was able to bring like a level of significance and importance to what I felt was the meaning of my life. It's definitely transitioned where now I have a life and I have children and I have a business, but it's still, fitness is such a big part of what we do. And I have everything to be grateful for that. So I think when someone's like, the cover print, it's dying, this and that, it might not mean something to someone, but to me, it means everything. Because, I think once in a while, we don't always have great days, all of us, and we turn around, or we might be struggling with certain things, or family or health or whatever it is. And you could turn around and look at that cover and, you say to yourself, wow, this is a very happy time for me. This was something that really helped put me on a bigger pedestal. It showed people that with someone like myself, I'm someone that likes to practice what I preach. So don't downplay it, man. I mean, it's been something for me. You don't realize what you've done for me, and what Sean's done for me, and what M&F has done for me. And it's just something you want to keep going.
No, that's good to hear. No, maybe I'm old school, but I still do enjoy magazines. But it's been, we haven't put one together in a long time. This one was a different process, and it was a process I had to get used to myself. And it was a challenge jumping right back into it, because it's like sometimes you're so used to the digital space can be a lot faster, and you're doing things a lot quicker. This is a little more calculated, and but sometimes there's a lot of moving parts too that you don't understand until you're in it.
Well, I didn't understand until I actually saw what you did for me the second time. Because the first time, we were all really emotional because we had the shoot. Sean just passed. And it was like a tribute to Sean, but you were thrown into it and you had to put that together. And I didn't really see different owners, different environment. And then this time around, the amount of detail that you put into it. And I'm talking as a friend. This is, you and I don't have a business relationship. We have a very friendship based relationship. And I was proud and honored to be a part of that process and see the love that you put into it. And I can't wait for people to see it and give some feedback. And you did incredible.
That does. It means a lot. Because you don't, again, these things, there's a lot of work that goes into them. So you don't have a lot of time to sit there and like ask for pats on the back. I just don't try to do that anyway. I just try to kind of move forward and move on to the next thing, which may or may not be a really good thing to do mentally. I think it's probably better if you kind of celebrate your victories. And this was definitely one of those. And I mean, I'm still working on it. Thankfully, your portion's done. I'm still working on, we haven't put together the cover yet. And this is all supposed to be, done in the next day or so. And it's hard, but it's also like, you got to do it. And it's kind of when you're training or you're running something and it's like you're at that last leg or you have those last few reps, you just want to get through them. And then you can kind of sit back and look at the journey and see where you could have done things different or where you could have done them better. I really don't think in what we did, we could have done it better. I think Arash was a huge help. I'm so glad he was there in a lot of different ways, because we were very small. We ran lean this time, and I was certainly more hands-on in a lot of different ways than I have been in the past, and I enjoyed it a little more. So, I think that's something I would want to keep up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great having him there, and it was great watching everyone genuinely work together. It was from Kristen Serafino to your wife to yourself to Arash to Kabir. Everyone was kind of popping in. The goal was to just get the best shots. There was no like who made this decision. Like I genuinely felt that day that everyone was there for the common goal to get to allow that shoot to go as good as possible. And that to me left me with a really warm feeling. But I don't know, man, like, I think about what you've done for MNF and you've done for the magazine. And, that's something I think you need to celebrate. Like, I'm on the cover. You're someone that could turn around and look at how many different issues and say, you know what, I had my fingerprint on that and I put that together. And that's something that whether print lives on or not, it doesn't matter. You're going to have those, you can technically have those copies. And it's something you could talk to your kids about one day and just say, look, I had to put this together. Look, this was almost a colossal disaster, but we had to get this person. Like, it's a story, but it's all, it all revolves around making people better. Because when someone picks up a magazine, part of them, whether they're reading it for entertainment, like part of them, when they're looking at a fitness magazine, they want to improve their well-being. They have the urge, is there something very palatable that I can take from this? Or is there a way I can be motivated to where I am going to be able to be a little bit more consistent? It's always, everyone fights it. And, that power's in your hand. And I think that's something very special and it shouldn't be downplayed.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think we could end on that note. I think we have a lot to talk about. We can definitely pick this up again.
I'd love to.
But for now, why don't we just let people know where they can get in touch with you? Your address.
Yeah, my phone number and address. My phone number is Don Saladino on Instagram, and donsaladino.com is my website. If you guys DM me any questions, I usually get back to everyone. This is just good, man. This is just it's good to be back.
It's good to talk to you. Like look, I know that you're busy running around. You're wheeling and dealing, and look, it's good to pin you down and to chat about stuff. And I think that I'd like to do it more often for sure.
I would do it whenever you want. My commitment to this. So just let me know.
All right, man.
All right, brother. You're the best.
All right, later, bro. Bye.
Bye.
Today's show is generously sponsored by GNC. From the #1 selling lit pre-workout to the game-changing Burn MF, Beyond Raw formulas are made to make a real difference. And with the explosive flavors like Jolly Rancher Watermelon and Green Apple, Gummy Worm, and Iced Tea Lemonade, you'll keep coming back for more. So get to GNC or GNC.com and go beyond the fire with Beyond Raw.